start recording. Okay, so we're recording. So again, I would like to thank you all so very much for joining us this evening as part of the College of Arts and Sciences and Women and Gender Studies teach-in series. So tonight we have a very special reading of excerpts from Las Cartas by our very own theater department. I am so thrilled as a former theater major. This is very, very close to my heart. So, and again, I want to thank everybody for being so adaptable and switching modalities and platforms last minute. It really speaks to how flexible we've all become, right? So, all right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch, or microphone is probably more appropriate at this point. So again, Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Okay, thank you all for doing this. Just to give you a quick preface, and then I'm going to turn it over to our director, who is Devin Hamblin, who will be handling everything. This will be a reading of a play that we wrote here with the Hispanic Playwriting Initiative Project, which we got a grant for, and we did some work with the University of Texas and their Latino Voices history that they have there online for the experiences of Latinos and Latinas during World War II. This basically what we call verbatim or devised theater now, but it's kind of like a docudrama of the interviews of the Hispanic woman's experience during World War II. We produced this show, we presented it, and we got a lot of great attention for the university for it. And we have a wonderful group of students here today that will be reading the play. It's a 40-minute read. It's a one-act. And we have our lovely Devin Hamblin, who is the director, and I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her. And basically, you'll see everyone's kind of marked, but they're playing the women, they're playing different women, they're playing the men in their lives. And it's called Las Cartas, which means the letters, if you didn't already know that, about that correspondence going through the war and the Hispanic woman's experience through the war. And so I'm going to hand it over to Devin Hamblin. And you can introduce us and get us going however you need to. Thank you, Devin.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and start with the cast of characters. When I say your character's name, just give a little wave and introduce yourself. Just say your name. So our cast of characters, woman 1.
Hello, Lori.
Woman 2.
Hi, America.
Woman 3.
Hi, I'm Chachi.
Woman 4.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Woman 5.
Hey, Alessandra.
All the women fill various roles that the Hispanic women played during this time and experience, like wives, the mothers, sisters, Rosita the River, and civil defense workers and nurses. And these are all their monologues are based on true accounts and interviews. And then we have the men. So man 1.
Hi, I'm Robin.
Man 2.
Hi, I'm Eric.
Man 3.
Hello, my name's Edgar.
Man 4.
I'm Anthony.
Man 5. Chris, is your mic on?
We can't hear you, Chris. Chris? No.
Chris, can you click on the little up caret next to the mute button by the microphone and make sure that your microphone is the correct one? You can switch your microphone output or input, I guess would be the better word. Gotta love technology, man. Well, right now you're muted, Chris. Okay, try. Chris, do you have another device you can switch to?
You have a smartphone?
Oh,
wait,
talk.
Who's that?
Better?
Yes,
Nothing.
I can hear you now.
Okay, keep going.
Okay.
Man 5. And all the men represent soldiers, spouses, brothers, and sons. And then in addition to those, we have reporter 1.
Hello, my name is Sean.
Reporter 2.
Hi, I'm Will.
And our radio announcer.
Hi, I'm Allie.
This play is set on the home front to the battlefront, leading up to the onset of World War II to the end of World War II. So we'll go ahead and get started. Lights come up on woman 1 in working clothes, waiting to be picked up by a new employer across the U.S. border from Mexico. She is sitting on the floor of the stage, writing a letter back home to her family, reassuring her safety.
Mis padres. I'm finding some amazing opportunities here in the United States. I never thought I could get here. Sorry it took so long to write. It took us about 2 weeks. Me and the primos are fine. It's hard. We've seen pain, suffering, and even death and what it has taken from us to arrive. It is only because of our young bodies that we did not give in to the dehydration or the exhaustion. And I love you very much, even now more than before. The coyote just left us this morning and we're all on our own, so he said. We start work with cotton farmers today, and as of now, we're taking turns sleeping and living in the barns in the back of the cotton trucks. I will send money as soon as I can. Pray for me and take care. I think this will be a new beginning for our families. This is the most beautiful country. I believe it will be a wonderful place to live. It is strong and protected, and the people are good.
Then we go to opening. My Country 'Tis of Thee plays, as light up on an old radio in center of the stage. The music switches like the tuning of a radio. Various styles of music are played, ending with Tejano music. Lights up on radio. 5 couples enter. Some are dancing in different styles. Some are celebrating. Some are in a moment of life. Radio is interrupted by the following breaking Pearl Harbor news in Spanish. As this happens, each man fades out in military style, saluting and leaving.
Hoy el 7 de diciembre de 1947, el Imperio de Japón ha atacado la base naval estadounidense en Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Las bajas se desconocen en este momento, pero parecían ser muy altas.
The speech continues in Spanish, detailing the attack on Pearl Harbor. In a contagion, we see the men from each of these couples salute and leave as if going off to war.
El presidente Franklin Delano Roosevelt hablará mañana el 8 de diciembre sobre el ataque y se ha informado que pedirá al Congreso una declaración de guerra a las potencias del eje. Por favor, permanezca atento a las actualizaciones y que Dios bendiga a los Estados Unidos de América. Ahora continuaremos con nuestra programación estable.
My son.
Mi esposo.
My brother.
My people.
My God.
As Woman 5 runs off, blackout. Music continues and switches to Pearl Harbor speech as women cross to various places on the stage. Lights up on radio.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
As sound fades to silence, lights change, fades up on women individually as they each tell their story to us.
I came from Monterrey. Some came from Guanajuato, Piedras Negras, Cuba, Puerto Rico, all over. We had a dream. We came to find it and live it.
I saw an opportunity. I saw a chance. I saw work with better pay. I saw my family not starving anymore. I saw equality, safety, and a future.
I picked cotton. My family moves from farm to farm. I sleep on trucks and I share water from the same barrel as some of the animals. My jefes are good to us. They feed us and help us so we can work. I'm not complaining. I love it. It's wonderful.
I plan to open my own shop, sell tortillas and tamales. They like our food. I'll establish my family and support the others back home until I can get everyone here. We work hard and they let us.
The women begin to sing with pride.
Arroz con leche, me quiero casar con un muchacho que puede cantar. Con este sí, con este no, con este ya mero me caso.
It grows, then they all break it up with laughter and sit in a circle as if they are waiting for work.
So he writes to me a beautiful letter, una carta, telling me how much he desires me and what things will be like when we get married and we get home.
Oh, what I would give to dance in the moonlight again. Soft music in the background and a strong hand around me.
Oh, yes, the beauty of love.
Love, love, love. That is all you have spoken of since we have been waiting. I'm just ready to get to work so we can get out of some of the debt my family owes.
I am just hoping they will let my son into schools. He's already here and he is very smart and I know he will go far.
Oh, things will be fine.
I have one. It is very old. Uno, dos, tres, yo. Uno, dos, tres, go. Uno, dos, tres, la. Uno, dos, tres, chocolate, chocolate, pate, pate, chocolate.
All the women join in and they are having fun.
Chocolate.
Interrupt, dressed as the drill sergeant.
Mujeres, stop, we are at war.
They stop and scramble to get into a line formation, acting as a drill sergeant.
This is our country. We must protect it. Wives, we regret to inform you, you will lose husbands. Your men fought to get here and fought discrimination. Even though they were good enough to fight a war and not good enough for equality, they didn't care. They saw opportunity through the war and earned citizenship. Mothers, we regret to inform you. You sent your sons away to fight at the risk of losing your boys and your family's namesake. Some died, some will live. Some of you will sit in Mexico waiting for word. Nurses, we regret to inform you. You will be employed all over. The World War II theater campaign will deploy you for your translation skills, some for your nursing skills, but always for your pride in your new land. Rosita, we regret to inform you. You will train our boys, build our machines, maintain industrial life as we know it here while the boys are gone. Then you will be expected to go back into home life as a mom, sister, or daughter. Remember, this is a date that will live in infamy.
Infamia.
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 They exit off, marching and singing. Blackout. Lights up on radio.
Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 was one of the most successful surprise attacks in the history of modern warfare. Japanese warships, including several aircraft carriers, crossed the western Pacific to Hawaii without being seen. They launched their warplanes on Sunday morning to attack the huge American naval and air base. Japan's destruction at Pearl Harbor was so complete that officials in Washington did not tell the full details immediately to the American people. They were afraid that the nation might panic if they had learned the truth about the loss of so much American military power.
Enter reporter 1 and 2.
It has been estimated that as many as 750,000 Latinos and Latinas served in the armed forces during World War II. Hispanic Americans fought in every major battle in the European theater of World War II in which the armed forces of the United States were involved, from North Africa to the Battle of the Bulge, and in the Pacific theater of operations, from Bataan to Okinawa.
Hispanic Americans served in the U.S. Armed Forces during World War II. Out of a total of 12 million, they consisted up to 4.7% of the U.S. Armed Forces.
Reporters exit. Enter woman 1. Woman 1 reading a letter.
Muchacha, it's been several weeks we have been at sea.
Man 1 enters.
I miss you and the niños. Fighting is fierce and it has gotten pretty scary, but we are making progress. I miss your tacos. What I wouldn't give for that and a slow dance with you right now. Write you soon. Love, Carlos.
Woman 1 exits and woman 2 enters.
I would have liked to have gone to college, but didn't have the means. Instead, I began to work at Cress, a 5 and dime, as a sales clerk. During the beginning of the war in 42, I was promoted to receiving clerk, which I kept for 5 years. Of course, I joined the civil defense, teaching the skills that would be necessary in the event of an enemy attack. My husband served in the Philippines and Okinawa. I have lost 2 children. The loss of a child is the most hard, but God will never give you more than you can bear.
Woman 2 exits and woman 3 enters reading the letter.
Mi amor, every day I'm praying for when I will see you again.
Man 2 enters.
We are fighting hard, but sometimes we don't know what we're fighting for. A good thing is that the gringos are colorblind here, so the compadres are treated like everyone else. Unfortunately, the Nazis aren't colorblind, and being Mexicano means we look more like Judeos, Jews.
Woman 3 and man 2 exit off. Woman 4 enters.
I got an editing level job at the War Department in DC, alphabetizing index cards with the name and rank of commissioned officers. Later, I was promoted to filing requests for active duty officers. We would match ranks with requests and hand them in. We didn't even look at the names. One day, my boss came in angry at me because I was not checking the race of the officers or units. By mistake, I had paired a black officer with a white unit. I didn't know it was wrong. I didn't know anything about discrimination. That was the first time I'd even heard the word.
Woman 4 exits and woman 5 enters.
Amor, I will be quick. Letters are being checked, so I just want to say it will be weeks before I can write again.
Man 3 enters.
My English and Spanish may be mixed. I want you to know that if you wish to know where I am, you have to look no further than your name. We will create a code in order for you to know my location, so we can be together always. So look to the first letter of the greeting and the salutation I send you in the letter, and that will tell you where my heart is in Europe.
Woman 1 enters. Lori, are you muted? Lori, you're muted.
Censorship is a huge part of the American strategy in order to keep enemy forces from intercepting information on the troops' location of planned attacks. My job was to block out letters and to intercept correspondence from Spain or Mexico. I was very well educated and graduated valedictorian. I was taught proper manners and the importance of good diction in any language. I was teaching these very lessons when the war broke out. My job was clear: intercept telegrams and phone calls and clarify translations. I blocked a lot of letters and calls. I know I saved a lot of lives, but I wonder how many memories I did not let through.
Woman looks at couples. They all re-enter, dancing until men leave women. Woman 5 steps forward.
He told me that he wanted someone to come home to. So we married before he shipped off in September of 42. I know the exact date of when he left because I also became pregnant before he left. We were high school sweethearts. All I did was worry. I didn't want him to be killed.
Woman 3 steps forward.
Every night I would pray, please God, bring him home. I didn't care how he came home, without an arm, a leg, as long as he came home to me and the kids.
Woman 1 steps forward.
I remember the telegrams delivering the bad news. You know, getting the letter that your husband has died. I used to deliver these telegrams at night, and they were brought by bicycle with small headlights. One night, a bicycle came through and it slowed in front of my house. I froze, but it passed.
This continues. They go into a lyrical dance, step side to side as we see the headlights in the distance behind them, almost as if they are dodging them.
Then one. There comes another one.
Look out!
It's going next door.
We'll get you through this.
This is only one day. I feel as if my Julio is on one of those bicycles, just like you in a ride with a friend.
Just hang on. We're here together.
Yeah. Oh, look out. Mrs. Sanders' house.
Her husband's good.
Maybe he was just wounded.
We pray that they are only wounded.
She is crying. Maybe tears of joy?
Or tears of relief. That bike has a large bag. Oh, wait, it's just the paper boy.
Why must they dress so much alike? And whatever happened to officers coming to your door personally?
There are too many. Besides, the officers are fighting too. Wait, I think that is the last one.
I think you are right.
They stop.
Do you need anything?
No, thank you. Will I see you tomorrow?
Yes, we'll be with you tomorrow.
And don't forget to breathe.
They all take a deep breath together. Lights down, they exit. Lights change up on radio.
April 14th, 1942. Against the order of General MacArthur, Major General Edward P. King Jr. surrendered more than 75,000 disease-ridden and starving men at Bataan in the Philippines. After a tragic and crammed train ride where thousands died, the remainder was forced to walk to Camp Delano. It is believed somewhere between 600 and 650 Americans lost their life.
Reporters enter.
May 22nd, 1942. Mexico declares war on the Axis powers. On May 30th, 1942, it is made official. Earlier in the month, Germany bombed and sank 2 of Mexico's oil tankers, the Potrero Delano and Faja de Oro.
Mexico's ships have been attacked, and it is clear the Axis powers had become a menace to the world.
3 men dressed as pilots enter with piñata sticks. They duel with a piñata of the head of Hitler. The piñata is busted and dragged off stage.
Mexico and the U.S. then decided to form an aerial attack force. Escuadron 201 has been created. By the end of the war, Squadron 201 will fly 96 combat missions and become a reliable and respected part of the Allied forces.
Reporters exit. Metal tapping is heard, sounds of factory. Woman 2, 3, 4, and 5 enter in a flurry, rolling carts, grinding metal, activity a la factory, assembly line. Everything then becomes very rhythmic and choreographed. Woman 1 enters yelling.
Get to work! With the U.S. producing 250,000 planes from 39 to 45, aircraft was important. Our jobs, ladies, are to keep them flying.
Woman 1 takes over Woman 2's cart as Woman 2 steps forward.
Sí.
Se puede.
The music stops, they freeze.
I was a volunteer airplane mechanic after my Alfred was drafted. I was the only Latina at Randolph Field. In Big Spring, Texas, I was the only woman working in the fuselage, the body of the plane. From 1942 to 1944, oh, I loved it. Later, I took a job as sales clerk and a homemaker after the war. I thought that I was doing a really big thing. I was.
This war ain't gonna win itself. Ándale, mujeres.
Woman 2 takes Woman 3's cart as Woman 3 steps forward.
Sí.
Se puede.
The music stops, they freeze.
In 42, I went to work for Kelly Airfield in Texas. They were only hiring women like crazy. I was the first female engine repair mechanic at Kelly's and the only Latina too. I later volunteered for overseas duty, but I told my family I was forced to go. After training in California, I was off with 40 others to beautiful Hawaii to work on aircrafts, preparing them to fly into battle. Ah, Hawaii, the sand, the water, the beaches, the boys.
Rosies, move it!
Woman 3 takes over Woman 5's cart as Woman 5 steps forward.
Sí.
Se puede.
That's Rosita the Riveter. And I was a Rosita. That's Tiny Rose. I was a welder in the shopyards for cargo vessels that shipped ammunition. They wanted small, short women for crawling into dangerous places in ships. 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was proud. I would come out and they would say, "Thanks, Shorty, you did pretty good." We developed many good friendships, trading clothes, sharing soap. My biggest problem was forgetting that not all women that worked there were Latina. We didn't care. We had fun.
She gets back to work and things slow down. Woman 2 crosses to Woman 4, noticing her sadness.
Mi padre is telling me I have to quit.
But you can't. You just started making money, chica. Next week, you'll be able to afford that dress for the next GI dance.
Will you be serious? I really don't think I can stay. He keeps talking about my place.
Your place? Times are changing. Women aren't just standing around making tortillas in the kitchen anymore. Look around you. We're going places.
I don't think that's it. Things haven't been the same since Ricky.
I know what happened has been hard on your family, but Ricky has nothing to do with this. This isn't about him. It's about you and all the good things you're doing here.
He blames them, okay?
Blames who?
The gringos, the Americans. He keeps saying they'd kill us in a heartbeat. Why should we die for them? He doesn't like the friends I'm making here. He keeps saying I'm forgetting my heritage, forgetting Ricky. I keep trying to tell him that Ricky died for this country, but he doesn't see the light. Look, the fact of the matter is that if I'm not out of here by next week, I don't think I have a home to go to anymore.
You really think your father would do that?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter if he does or not. You have a place to stay with me. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Do you really mean it?
Of course. We're changing things, chica. You'll get through this. I'm here for you.
Mujeres!
They scatter and exit. Lights up on radio.
September 9th, 1943. Mainland Italy is the first invaded in the Battle of Salerno. The plan was called Operation Avalanche. Two supporting operations took place in the invasion of Europe. Operation Baytown in Calabria and Operation Slapstick in Toronto. The 36th Infantry Division is the first American division to invade the continental Europe. When they landed on the beaches in Paestum near Salerno, a voice came onto the speaker that said in English, "Come on in and give up. We have you covered." The U.S. troops attacked nonetheless, and despite many casualties, succeeded in the Allied campaign into southern Italy.
Reporter 1 enters.
November 1943. U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and ROC leader Chiang Kai-shek met in Cairo, Egypt, to discuss ways to defeat Japan. On the home front, women continue to pick up the production as our boys are fighting, while at the same time keeping them entertained and their spirits up. Latinas were a huge part of that by adding their own flavor of culture into the fray.
Reporter 1 exits. Music goes very festive. Women enter in Spanish dress and sing steps very low-key. Then men enter and they dance in step. As they form and establish themselves in the moment. Woman 2 steps forward.
I joined the group and we performed for the soldiers at USO clubs. We did typical dances. The haraka, the tapatio, the zadunga, just about any dance that was typical at the time. For every dance, we had a different costume.
She steps back into the dance, and woman 3 steps forward.
The soldiers were doing their job, so we had to help make sure that they had replacements here and entertainment to ensure troops' morale. We were just looking forward to seeing them come home.
She steps back into the dance. Woman 4's partner salutes and exits, and woman 4 steps forward.
I also did my part by babysitting for soldiers' families, conserving scrap metal and buying stamps that went towards war bonds. I cooked meals on rations, and that was extremely difficult to do. They were strict on rationing because they needed those foods and goods for the war effort.
She looks for her partner, and woman 5 steps forward.
Me and some friends would get together and write letters to the servicemen. We would exchange names of friends and family that we knew overseas just to keep their spirits up. We called our club the Blue Horizon, and we danced.
She steps back into the dance. They do a choreographed dance. We notice woman 4 has disappeared. She has walked down stage center and sits down. The other women bid farewell to their soldiers and noticed woman 4. Men exit.
I know he'll be back. We've danced this dance at this time every Saturday for a month. He sat in this chair, and every Saturday for a month, and I always made sure to dance with him. He's big, strong, and handsome. He liked me. He said he would be back and that we would dance forever together. But,
Amiga, do you know how many times a man has told me that? Do you know that most of these boys Have you ever touched a woman?
It's true. I've been married 5 times on this dance floor.
Me too. 2 proposals in a house with a picket fence.
Oh, and what about those romantic nights?
And don't forget family.
Right. When all my boys come back, they're going to have to duke it out to see which one gets me.
Girls, our chica's in love. Leave her alone.
You don't understand. We never talked that much. His eyes told me everything. And he also gave me this.
Pulls out a purple heart.
His medal.
Yes.
I never got one of those.
Me neither. This could be big.
We just dance. That's all I want right now, is to dance with him.
She sees her partner enter. During speech, they dance in a dreamlike manner.
He sees me. I see him. We walk to each other. He takes my hand and takes my waist. Every part of me is supported. I could fall right now, and I would still be up dancing. We are in unison and fit perfectly together. In every step, in every moment, and in every crevice.
He fades away, and she is left dancing alone. She stops.
If this is not love, I care to never know it. I just hope he comes back.
She crosses to the chair and sits.
Amiga, please don't take this the wrong way, but don't hold your breath. These boys come and go. They get restationed, they get redeployed, and sometimes they give their lives. I pray you see this Romeo again, but your job is to be a Juliet to all the boys who come here. They need us for those moments. They need us.
Well, Miss Julietas, I hate to break this up, but we have another company of Romeos coming tonight. So can we save your feet and for your hearts for them?
He's right. Let's get back to work. We've got a new routine to work on. You gonna be okay?
Yes.
They all start to cross out, and woman 4 runs back and safely puts metal on the chair, as we see the light slowly fade to spot on that chair and then out. Reporter 2 enters.
November 1943. Americans and Japanese fight the naval battle of Cape St. George between Buka and New Ireland. Admiral R. Lee Burke's destroyers continue to distinguish themselves. Huge civilian losses felt in Berlin as heavy bombing raids continue on that offensive. Other note, the Casablanca Conference ends. Roosevelt, Churchill, and Chiang Kai-shek complete the Cairo Declaration, which deals with the overall strategic plan against Japan.
Woman 5 enters holding letter and watches woman 1 as she enters also holding the letter. Woman 1 reading, enter man 2.
Ama, things are well. I am safe. I think about mis hermanos every day. Tell Papa he would be proud of me, not for the men I've killed or the civilians I've saved, but for staying alive and protecting our country. Love, Hector.
Woman 1 turns up stage and freezes. Woman 5 watches woman 2 enter. Woman 2 reading, enter man 5.
Mi Angel, my heart beats for you. I miss our walks and your beautiful face. I long for the day to breathe in your breath as we go to kiss. Pray for me and my unit. We expect things to get busier, but we are at a safe place. I will see you soon. Love, Juan.
Woman 2 turns up stage and freezes. Woman 5 watches woman 3 enter. Woman 3 reading, enter man 4.
Sis, I have seen things that we've only read about. I'm very scared, but still I fight hard. Our sergeant's a good man, and we keep our head down. I think of our late nights of cerveza and high stakes loteria. I could never beat you. I'm certain that we're going to win this war. The fights are hectic, but we have them on the run. I will play loteria again, so have the cervezas ready. Miguel.
Woman 3 turns up stage and freezes. Woman 5 watches woman 4 enter in tears with a letter in her hand. Woman 4 crosses center stage. Woman 5 watches as Woman 1 turns around, followed by Woman 2 and 3, and in slow contagion, the letters are read.
Dear Mr. and Mrs. Garza, we deeply regret to inform you that your son, Private First Class Hector Garza, United States Marine Corps, died on June 1942 of wounds received in action in Europe while performing his duty in service to his country. When information is received regarding burial, you will be notified. To prevent possible aid to our enemies, please do not divulge the name of his ship or station. Please accept my heartfelt sympathy, United States Marine Corps Commandant.
Dear Mrs. Perez, we deeply regret to inform you that your husband, Juan Manuel Perez, died on November 1943 of wounds received in action in Europe while performing his duty and services to his country. When information is received regarding burial, you will be notified. To prevent possible aid to our enemies, please do not divulge the name of his ship or station. Please accept my heartfelt sympathy, Department of the Navy.
Dear Ms. Martinez, we deeply regret to inform you that your brother, Miguel Martinez, died on May 1944 of wounds received in action in Europe while performing his duty in service to his country. When information is received regarding burial, you will be notified. To prevent possible aid to our enemies, please do not divulge the name of his ship or station. Please accept my heartfelt sympathy, United States Army.
We regret to inform you.
Regret to inform you.
We regret to inform you.
As the intensity swells on stage, the women crowd Woman Corps who joins them. They repeat, we regret to inform you 3 more times, followed by, lo lamento informarte de tu padre, hijo, esposo. They all see Woman 5 and begin to crowd her.
No!
Lights go to small spot on her. Woman 5 crosses in fear and shakily opens the letter, reading as her husband appears in the distance.
Martha, it is me. I am okay. I'm fine. We are okay.
She collapses sobbing as she reaches to him, looks up.
Thank you, God!
Lights fade to black. Lights up on radio.
June 6, 1944 D-Day. The Western Allies landed in northern France, opening the long-awaited Second Front against Adolf Hitler's Germany. The Allied forces based in Britain decided to begin the invasion by landing a huge army at the place called Normandy Beach, located on the northwest coast of France. Codenamed Operation Overlord and commanded by American General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Securing safe landing zones for reinforcements, the Germans failed to successfully defend the Normandy area from the Allied liberation forces, doing Hitler's dream of the Nazi-controlled fortress Europe, and marked the beginning of the end for Germany. The exact number of men on both sides who died that day will probably never truly be known.
Enter Reporter 1.
The 158th Regimental Combat Team, an Arizona National Guard unit of mostly Hispanic soldiers, nicknamed the Bushmasters, had been deployed to protect the Panama Canal and had completed jungle training. The unit fought the Japanese in the New Guinea area in heavy combat and was involved in the liberation of the Philippine Islands. General MacArthur referred to them as the greatest fighting combat team ever deployed for battle.
Reporter 1 exits. Woman 4 enters. Man 4 enters.
Carmen, the fighting is intense, and I'm not sure where we go from here. It's a running joke that civilians back home know more about what's going on over here than we do, but what's funny is that it's true. We're stretched thin, tired, and hungry, but it's your face that brings me comfort from the picture I have. It's still clean, despite all this mess that we've been in.
Lights crossfade to Woman 5 as she enters. Woman 5 reading, and Man 1 enters.
Mija, thank you for the letter. I am so tired, and to hear your voice once again, even though it is in my head, is what keeps me strong. Remember the arrangements we discussed. If I should not survive, I don't mean to sound negative, but things are very unsure. I expect to survive, and I expect to see you again, but It is not in my hands, only God's.
Lights crossfade to woman 1 as she enters, dressed as a nurse. Man 1, dressed as a civilian, enters, as if reading.
Mi amor, I cannot say to you where I am, only that it is cold here. I'm longing for sweet summer nights in your arms. The war has grown worse. The things I've seen haunt every waking moment. I pray for sleep. I always find your face there. I'm counting the days. Kiss Gabriela for me, Maria.
Woman 1 exits. Lights change as woman 2 enters, dressed as nurse. As she speaks, woman 1, 4, and 5 come in dressed as nurses and line up in military form.
Attention, women of America. Uncle Sam wants you to serve your country across the sea as nurses. Spanish translators needed.
The women enter with signs with the initials of the organizations on them as they march in place.
The Women's Army Auxiliary Corps was created on May 14, 1942. It was the women's branch of the Army and was later converted to full status, becoming the Women's Army Corps in 1943.
The Army Nurse Corps has become the future of military medicine. Established by the Congress in 1901, our mission is to provide the wellness to soldiers and to their families. Qualifications to be a part of the Corps were to hold an unrestricted registered nurse license.
Navy Nurse Corps population grew by 800 members by November 1941. Established by the Congress in 1908, the duties and responsibilities of the nurses were more related to those of a hospital corpsman. 2 groups of Navy nurses have been held prisoners during World War II.
Woman 2 steps forward.
I was too young to enlist without my parents' consent, so I used my sister's identity. I enlisted and got active. I even had to hire a lawyer to get my own identity back. Through the Women's Army Corps, I ended up in New Guinea in the Philippines to help with the invasion, October 1944. I worked in the Surgeon General's office and saw plenty of pain and suffering. I fell ill, but survived long enough to finish the war.
Woman 1 steps forward.
Even after removing maggot-infested casts from men returning from the battlefronts, I was eager to stay active. I was a Red Cross nurse when I entered the Army and found myself assisting in the operating rooms. At the base, I mostly spent time tending to men wounded in the Pacific.
Woman 4 steps forward.
I enlisted in 43 and was sent to the Naval Hospital in California. I was supposed to go to the Pacific and I was ready to go, but my orders were changed. I worked on men out of California. I was doing good work there. They didn't need me overseas.
Woman 5 steps forward.
In 44, I was sent over on the Queen Mary to 242nd General Hospital in Cizon, France. We were quartered in old cavalry posts and we froze. We had to burn our roommates' burlap curtains for heat. Later, I went to the Luxembourg Evacuation Hospital on the site of the Duchess's summer place. It could have been beautiful before all those casualties. It seemed like the injured were coming in droves.
The women exit and enter with clipboards. Enters woman 3, appearing to be that of an older, wiser woman, ushered in by man 2 and 3. She sits and men exit.
Your ancestors worked in the fields in our country. They traveled and were hired and enslaved to work in the fields of other lands. Pero todo es para la familia. My girls, we have worked hard. Your families have fought their own wars and created many opportunities for you. Mexico is country, family, beauty, and hard work. We not only supply our land with blood and sweat, but this new land as well, with farming, harvesting, railroad, labor. You honor this land as you do that of your ancestors. You fight for this land and protect this land's dreams as well as your own dreams and your families. I am proud of my girls.
The women gather around woman 3 as if they were children, and she sings.
Arroz con leche, me quiero casar con un muchacho que puede cantar. Con este sí, con este no, con este llamero me caso yo.
As each question is asked, the women progressively mature with age.
Abuelita, why is your hair gray?
Age 6.
Mija, my hair represents all the wisdom I gained throughout my years.
Abuelita, did you like school when you were my age?
Age 10.
Mija, at your age, I had to take care of my brothers and sisters while mom and dad went to work. So I could not attend school every day like you can.
Abuelita, what age were you when you had your first boyfriend?
Age 15.
When I met your grandpa, I was 16 and he was 29. We both worked at the same factory in Mexico.
Abuelita, when did you begin working?
Age 18.
I began working when I was 15 in a factory in Mexico City.
Abuelita, when did you know you were ready to marry?
Age 25.
Mija, it is not planned. When you love someone, it blinds you from the future. Marriage will come by when you least expect it. And when it does, you just know you are ready.
Abuelita, your family was so big. How did you manage to have a husband and kids without their support?
Age 32.
As a young child, I had the responsibility of a mother towards my brothers and sisters. The experiences helped me as I grew older and began to raise a family of my own. It was very difficult being a mother of 12, but the support of your grandfather helped me as well.
Abuelita, my daughter had her first heartbreak. It breaks my heart to see her cry. How can I be there for her without any questions?
Age 40.
Mija, make 2 cups of hot chocolate and sit by her side. There is no need for words. Your presence will comfort your daughter. Remember when I sat by your side during your first heartbreak?
Juanita, my sons are leaving to go to war for this new country of ours. We don't get all the things as others have. We still are segregated. We get used for small labor-filled work for absolutely no money, and my sons aren't good enough for anything else here, but they're good enough to die? What will I do with an empty house? All my sons will be at war. We came here to survive and prosper, and my family may be destroyed.
Age 50.
Ay, mija, it is okay. It is very difficult seeing your babies grow up and leave, especially when it's to an uncertain fate. The support of your husband and distractions with work will help time go by faster. You are a strong woman, and you will be strong enough to let life take its course. Remember why your family came here. Opportunity. Don't forget that opportunity is not free. Blood will spill and boys will die. But the opportunities and freedom that they will have purchased will be far more great and rewarding than we could ever imagine.
Women freeze and woman one stands out.
During the war, it was not normal for every son in the same family to go overseas and risk their lives fighting. But it didn't seem that way with my niños. My 3 boys all walked out of that door to my home in the same year. Jorge and Julio would never walk through it again. Their blood was spilled for this country. My 3rd, Jaime, came home, but the war changed him. My heart has never healed from the loss of my 2 oldest, and it still breaks each time I see the shadows of war in my son's eyes. He's changed. He's different. And I, for some reason, I feel as if it was my fault. I know it's not, but that's what mothers do. Try to take the blame. I will always think that it was something that we did, or if there was something we could have done differently that could have kept him from having to go. But I have one, and I will love all 3 always. And when I hold him, I'll be holding all 3.
During the following speeches, the men enter in the distance as the brothers in arms. Woman 5 stands out.
Brothers in arms. The Gill brothers, Paul, Otis, Narisco, and Simon all served in the war. Otis served as an engineer in the Air Corps. Simon in the European theater. Paul got inducted into the Army at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and Narisco served as a demolition expert. He aided in the liberation of work camps in the Bataan Peninsula.
Woman 4 stands out.
Brothers in arms. Salvador and Manuel Rivas were twins who joined the Marines on their 17th birthday. In September of 44, they were both among the second wave of Marines to hit Peleliu, Caroline Islands Beach. Saul became trapped behind enemy lines and was believed to be dead. Many thought otherwise, and several days later was rescued.
Woman 2 stands out.
Brothers in arms. Ralph and Philip Antuna were drafted in 1942 and both fought in Europe. Ralph was with the 277th Field Artillery Battalion, and Philip with the 113th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Battalion. In December of 1944, both brothers fought in the Battle of the Bulge.
There's a flurry of bombs and battle sounds. Woman 3 stands.
We got wounded.
Chaos ensues as war sounds and explosions. Enter the men pushing their own gurneys and line up. Each asks a question about their condition. The women respond as they go through and cover each as if they die.
My leg. Is it bad? Am I gonna make it?
Yes. You're gonna be just fine.
She injects him and covers him.
Mama! Mama! ¡Me ayuda! Is it okay?
Sí, todo bien, todo bien.
She injects him and covers him.
I can't see. Please. Can you fix it?
Yes. Just relax. You are going to be okay.
She injects him and covers him.
No, please, make it stop. It hurts.
I can't. I can't lie.
She steps away crying. Nurse/woman 4 takes over.
Yes. Just relax. You're going to be okay.
She injects him and covers him. As the men are silenced, the nurses go to their gurney. Then in slow motion, as bombs go off, walk off slowly and exit pushing their gurney as woman 5 walks downstage in fright.
Oh my God. I can't lie to him.
Nurse/woman 4 crosses back on over to nurse 5.
Now you relax. You'll be fine.
How can I relax when these men are dying?
Just calm down. Relax.
No, don't talk to me like I'm one of them. I'm not one of them. I know what's going on. Don't lie to me like you lie to them.
Nurse, if you want to hold a position where people depend on you, you need to act like an adult. And that means forgetting your morals and doing what's best for these soldiers. Is that clear?
You don't understand. I know him.
What?
Daniel. He's my husband's best friend. He lives next door to us. I used to see him every day. I can't see him like this. He and my husband said they would fight for their country together. And now Daniel is dead and my husband could be too. And I don't know what I do. Seeing him like this means I'm closer to seeing my husband come in on one of those gurneys. Any day now, my husband could become one of these men and I can't pretend like everything is okay.
Look, every one of these men are husbands, brothers, fathers, and sons. I know it's hard, but these men fight for us. They've been through hell and they deserve to feel at least a few minutes of peace before they go. You need to do what's best for your country right now. That means comforting these soldiers and putting them at ease. Our smiles and soothing words are the best we can give them. Can you do that? Can you do that for them?
I'll try. I'll try.
She stands as if summoning confidence. Bomb explodes. She runs off to help. Lights change. Lights up on radio.
On December 16th, 1944, some 30 German divisions launched the counteroffensive early morning against the Allies in the forested Belgian Ardennes region. Being outnumbered, the Americans were taken by surprise, because at the time, the Ardennes was at rest and recuperation area. Allied and German forces faced off in the Battle of Ardennes, more likely known as the Battle of the Bulge because of the bull the Germans placed on thin-held Allied lines in the region. By December 22nd, the weather started to clear up, allowing the Allies to bring their air power into force. And on the next day, the Americans started a counterattack against the Germans.
Reporters enter.
On December 24th, 1944, the Axis made their first German attack by jet fighter bomber. The 16 German Me-262s attacked rail yards in an attempt to destroy the ability of the Allies to supply themselves. Fortunately, without fuel for their armored vehicles, any success in the air was meaningless.
January 1945. 1,277 Americans captured in the Battle of the Bulge were transported by train to Stalag 12A in Limburg, Germany. Several were Latino Americans. The Battle of the Bulge was the largest battle fought by the Americans in World War II. In result, there were 600,000 American troops involved in the battle. Americans lost 81,000 men, while the Germans lost 100,000 killed, wounded, and captured.
January 27th, 1945, Soviet troops entered the German concentration camp of Auschwitz and freed 7,000 prisoners. It is not yet known how many have lost their lives at this camp, but the death count is expected to be devastatingly high.
Reporters exit. Lights up on Woman 1 as Woman 2 enters, nervous and clutching a letter. Woman 1 takes the letter from Woman 2 and reluctantly begins to read it aloud. As following letter is being read, Soldier enters as younger boy. Lights change during reading. Woman 2 sees her son as boy. She goes to him. She caresses him, fixes his collar, holds him. They cross center and walk down as if playing a game. Just as she is about to kiss her son, he salutes and leaves. On the line in the letter, tell him I love him.
Mama, I'm still doing fine. My company is strong and mi compadres, white and black, are fighting hard. I'm proud to be an American, just as I am proud to be Mexican. And I am proud to fight for this country. I know you are proud of me. I know I'll be home soon. Kiss Papa for me and tell him I love him.
Lights change back to reality as Woman 1 reads what letter really says.
Dear Mrs. Hinojosa, we deeply regret to inform you that your son, Lance Corporal Gilbert Hinojosa, United States Marine Corps, died on June 1944 of wounds received in action in Europe while performing his duty and service to his country. When information is received regarding burial, you will be notified. To prevent possible aid to our enemies, please do not divulge the name of his ship or station. Please accept my heartfelt sympathy, United States Marine Corps Commandant.
During this, Woman 2 collapses to the floor sobbing. Woman 1 consoles her.
I'm so sorry.
You didn't kill him. He was fighting for his country.
Can I help you? Can I get you anything?
Son?
I'm sorry.
Okay. I knew this happened. We were so close to the end, and he was surviving.
What will you do?
I will take him and care for his blessed body. Lift him to God and be proud of who my son is, and know that every face I see from now on is existing because of my son. Freedom, liberty, we win. Why get freedom? I can have any job I want, go to the store I want, live my life the way I want. I want my son! What will this life be without my Gilbert? Mijo, shouldn't he get this? He fought, bled, and died for this. Who does this?
Who does what?
Yes. Who does
don't know what you mean.
This letter. Who does this?
You mean who writes them?
Yes, who writes these? Who and why?
Lights change as typing sound starts and swells louder and louder. As this happens, women 3, 4, and 5 re-enter, typing on typewriters and throwing out letters like confetti. During this, woman 2 begins running around and chasing the flying letters as if trying to save the soldiers. The flurry ensues and grows. Chachi?
I wasn't supposed to start, it was Lori, but okay. We regret to inform you of your brother.
We regret to inform you of your father.
We regret to inform you of your son.
We regret to inform you of your brother.
We regret to inform you of your father.
We
We regret to inform you of your son.
No!
Instant blackout. As the lights come up, we see the women rising out of the mess of letters, each one of them picking up one particular letter. Woman 2 steps forward with letter as soldiers appear in the background.
My son.
Woman 1 steps forward with letter as soldier appears in background.
Mi esposo, my husband.
Woman 3 steps forward with letter as soldier appears in the background.
Mi primo, my cousin.
Woman 4 steps forward with letter as soldier appears in the background.
Mi hermano, my brother.
Woman 5 steps forward.
Mi hermana, my sister.
Remember.
Recuerda.
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 They hold their letters high in pride. Blackout on women only to form their silhouettes, with letters high and soldiers' fists high in pride in the distance. Lights up on radio during President Truman's speech.
I have received this afternoon a message from the Japanese government in a message forwarded to that government by the Secretary of State on August 11th. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan. In the reply, there is no qualification.
Lights fade as we hear the rest of My Country 'Tis of Thee. Blackout. End of play.
And yay. Okay. Well, that was the play. It's 10 years old. We had a group called the Hispanic Playwright Initiative, which is made up of students. And about 85% of that material, almost 90% of it, are based from interviews and are based from real stories. And so that was actually the research and the work that the students did. You can find that the Oral History Project online at the University of Texas. And the play was waiting, actually Dr. Maggie Rivas, she actually did a presentation online on campus here recently. I don't know if some of you got to attend that, but she was the person that we worked with, and we were hoping to get more information from her on that, but it's been a while. And the play's been waiting for publication. But anyways, we had 3 other students. It was Michelle Flores, Betsy Wallach, and Christian Acevedo. Of course, they're all moved on and have grown up and got out of college, but those are the other 3 authors on the play. We toured it to the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival in 2010, and it performed for 3 performances there at the Fall Festival at San Jacinto College, and it received about 5 awards for the play. And all the ladies, 4 of the ladies got nominations for acting nominations to do acting scholarship auditions for Irene Rhines. So it was actually a really good attention for the students, and it was a great experiment, and it was a lot of fun. So we thought it would be appropriate for the event tonight. And I want to congratulate the cast and crew. They had just a couple of rehearsals, and they're not in a theater. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or any comments, or anybody wants to say anything about the experience that they had. It's a little odd sometimes to get theater via Zoom, but it seems to be an animal that's been growing over the last few months, of course. So, or did any of the students want to add or say anything? Again, this is a different experience. It's a play that I've considered revisiting. We even talked about it being grown into a full-length play. It's only a 40-minute play. But that's where you can get the information from that oral history project online with University of Texas. And I have tons of photos from the show. So if anybody's interested in looking at that, but I did take a screenshot. So we do have a production photo for tonight's performance. But I'll go ahead and turn it over. Barbara, did you want to say anything or add anything, or see if there's anybody that has anything to ask or add?
Sure. I have a question, actually. I have a question for your wonderful cast. So was there anything in preparing for this, I know it hasn't been all that long, that you learned that you didn't know about, whether it's either Latino, Latina, Latinx culture in World War II, Arab Latinx culture, or about World War II, or anything in preparation that either you took away or surprised you? That's for everybody.
I know I heard a lot of similar stories growing up. My grandmother was, I think, like 15 years old when the war ended. So she grew up in this time. So I heard a lot of these things growing up, a lot of stories about this time. So, it was kind of nice to hear other people's firsthand experiences, at least translated into this play.
Anybody else? Speak freely.
I'm not exactly a student, but I would like to point out that I feel as if we as a society forget the very terrible and devastating moments in history like this. And I think other people, and their perception and their stories really give us a little bit of insight about how devastating this actually was. I have a grandpa that fought in World War II as well. And he would tell us stories and stuff, but back then I never really took into consideration how devastating it was for a lot of families. And going through this play and playing the role that I played and listening to everybody and their parts really just gives me a bunch of insight, makes me feel more empathetic for all these people that went through these terrible things. But that's just my opinion. It's a nice little thing to recognize.
I thought it was always really nice to. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, along with Allie, my grandfather also fought in World War II, and he was stationed in Germany and lived through Lavenham, in England when he was going through, and he always had a lot of stories. And towards the end, when he was going, through his dementia when he was older, he didn't remember a lot from like the last 20 years of his life, but he would go into conversations to us in German as if we were his fellow soldiers, because he would go back there, and that was the place at the end that he went back to. So it always kind of told me a lot about that experience and about the impact it had on him.
Samantha, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, looking at the stories of these women, it's like something I never really thought about, this specific, cultural group, of how the Hispanic culture was affected by this war movement. And it was really interesting. It was very different because you hear a lot about the guys, you hear a lot about like the Americans as a whole, like the white culture, or in some cases like the Black culture, but I never really heard much about how Hispanics really did like a lot. All of them, women and men did a lot with like not a lot coming in return. They gave a lot. And I was like, it was very interesting to listen to stories like that.
Well, coming as a history major.
Go ahead.
coming as a history major, I think this will help people read a bit more to learn about this specific subject, whether it's the Latinos/Latinas perspective of during World War II, as well as everyone else who fought in this war. Because, you know, this was really the war that really changed who we are as a country, and we're still fighting for stuff that, you know, that we're, like, you know, including inequality stuff that's still happening today that is still a result of what happened during that war, whether being Black or Mexican or all that. So, it's important to learn a bit more about, you know, about what happens from, like, especially if you're, after listening to this play, it's important to read a bit more up on the history of some of the stuff, which I believe is important to learn about it.
Who else?
This is actually my first time like hearing about any of this, because I'm from East Texas. There's not a lot of like Hispanic culture over there. Like everything I have ever learned was completely whitewashed. I never learned anything about Black history or Hispanic history or like anything in that sort. So this was like a whole new learning experience for me.
No, yeah, me too. And that's because I grew up in the Valley where it's predominantly Hispanic and Latino. But as far as like the criteria that our history teachers had to teach us, it was very whitewashed, like you said. And like I had no idea Latinos had even had any part in the Rosita,
You muted, Alessandra.
Yeah, your mic cut out. Alessandra, your mic cut out.
You muted.
Ale, you're muted.
She muted.
Alessandra, your mic cut out.
Alessandra, you're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted, Alessandra.
This just in. Your mic is muted.
Oh wow.
Okay, so go ahead and say. I think we left off when you talked about growing up in the Valley. Would you mind repeating that? Because you.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's because I was getting a call and I didn't know that Zoom like mutes you if you're getting a call. But anyway,
yeah,
I was just saying that so even though I was living in the Valley and it's predominantly Hispanic and Latino, the criteria that they were teaching us was still very whitewashed as well. I had no idea Latinos had such a huge part in like even the Rosie the Riveter stuff as much as they did, especially considering my own family didn't have their own stories to tell because I'm barely second, I think third generation. So it hasn't been too long that my family has been here. So they weren't even really a part of this war or anything. They were just kind of like in Mexico living their lives.
My family was like that too. My dad was the first one born in America from his siblings, and there's only one after him, and there's 5 of them. And so I had learned about stuff like this just because I'm constantly researching things. But yeah, my family has none of these stories, and I thought it was pretty cool to be a part of learning about these stories of the firsthand kind of things instead of it just coming from a book. That we're saying the words that a lot of these women were saying themselves.
I really love history. I like visiting museums. I can't even count how many museums I've been to about World War II, and I've never seen anything about this in there. This contribution, this amazing, monumental contribution is just kind of erased from history, and I think that's insane and just really sad.
You look at the struggle. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I'm sorry. That was the dog.
Oh, the dog had something to say.
In the same house. We're in different rooms.
Well, you look at the struggle. You look at the Latina in that not only like all other women, they had their men and boys taken from them, but a lot of the Latinas at the time were also not legal, and so that's my mother-in-law's family. And you know, there's this pride that's there, but you think now you have this extra burden of the fact that you're the one that now has to find a way to work. But what we learned in the research, as you found in a lot of these monologues, they just stepped right in and they took control. And you know, that is the Hispanic culture. It's taking control. And it's like, this is what we have to deal with right now, instead of saying, yeah, you know, finding safety nets. And so what drew us to it in our conversation in the initiative group was the fact that they had the extra burden of not having that breadwinner there anymore, and not knowing if they could just ease into the front because a lot of them weren't citizens. But we learned that they really did just kind of, they were in the forefront of everything. And the Rosita was found a lot in those monologues. And we see that in some of their publications too. So.
Something that fascinates me so much is that, and it touches on this, where it says a couple times that that these women, they did a massive amount of hard labor, and you know, they were building planes and repairing things and stuff, and then, you know, once the war was over, they had to go back to just being homemakers, and to go from having so much power and so much force. They had to go from being such a drive in the country, to being a leg that the whole country has to have, to being something that is just kind of pushed under the rug kind of thing, that it's looked at as just homemaker. And from I was a homemaker for 8 years before I came back to school, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, and they kind of just think of you as just being in your sweats all day, you know, and okay, maybe you can slap a bologna sandwich together kind of thing. But it is a very different thing to be in the workforce and to be a homemaker. It is a very different idea of the world, the way the world sees you, and to go from something being so needed in the world, being seen as needed by society, to go from, yeah, okay, you're there. It's just, I think it's good that it's pointed out in the place a couple times there.
Anybody have anything else to add, or our viewing audience in the boxes? Anybody want to add anything or bring some expertise? From Luis Medina to everyone, I liked it really and learned a lot about Latinos and their family military experience. So thank you, Luis. Appreciate that.
I'm curious if anybody in the audience cried, because the first time when I read this, I bawled my eyes out almost the entire time.
Yes, it's like, we'll never tell you. When we did this play, I remember when I was directing the play, that last moment, a young lady by the name of Leia Luna, she's an actor up in Austin who played the part, and I remember when she did it, she reached into a deep, dark place for that moment. And after they were running around slinging the papers all over the stage, which were the letters, and then Cassie read the letter, and when Leia went to the floor, like you did on screen, and she was ripped to pieces. Cassie, we had to stop the rehearsal because Cassie, the other girl reading it, could not stop crying. And she was a senior and she had done tons of shows and she had a lot of experience, and she was she was so broken. And they had this moment, they had this real human moment on stage. We reset the scene and we ran it again. But I remember, it's funny you brought that up, because that was a very poignant moment in rehearsal. And we've done tons of theater, and that was 10 years ago. So yeah, it really is a moment where every mother, every person that has lost anybody that's been taken away like that, and you know that it could happen. Those stories are just amazing. The bicycle story is a big one for me. The fact that we were delivering letters by bicycle, and the fact that they would go to the wrong house and women would faint on the porch and they go, oh, I'm sorry, it's next door I have to be. And then the emotional tug was pretty amazing too. But it also, what the students did in working on it was also say, there is the Latino experience, there's the Latina experience, but there's also that human experience. They experienced it too, and they had extra levels. A lot of them had more children, they had larger families. And as you know, mom is the matriarch. She's the queen of the family. And now for her to go and start working on a fuselage of a B-52 bomber is now a part of her life. So yeah, it was very impressive all the way. Anybody else have anything to add or comment? Or Robin, did you want to sing a little tune for us or something?
God.
Oh my goodness, you screamed out, "Mama!"
Oh yeah.
That was great. That
was really good though. That was really good. Like I was like, oh.
I did not expect that hard.
I went into my inner Saving Private Ryan moment.
I broke there a little.
It was getting close. It was getting close to breaking for me, but
okay. Dr. Melindy says, I appreciate how this gives me more ammunition for my women's studies courses. Awesome. You guys just rewrote a course for Dr. Melindy. That's awesome. I want to openly thank those who are not TAMUK students like Sean. Who else is not a student? Allie, you came in. Will came in to help us out. Thank y'all so much. Alessandra. We really relied on y'all. Miss Alessandra, who rocks there in the corner. I want to thank you guys for coming together and doing this in a short amount of time and a short amount of rehearsal and keeping it together. And thank Dr. Cook for allowing us to do this too.
Thank you.
Thank you
so very much. And I have to say, this was my first time with a Zoom reading or any kind of Zoom theater, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I expected to feel less, because I mentioned before, I have a lot of experience in theater. And obviously, I would expect it to be there to be a level of non-connection with the audience, right? I don't know what it was like as a performer, so that was going to be my next question. But as an audience member, I felt there and I felt with you guys. And I don't know if it's just because we've been like indoctrinated to Zoom for the last 6 months or something. But I was impressed because I felt like it would be more like watching something on TV, but it wasn't at all. And I don't know if because there's the real moments there or what, I'm not sure. But as an audience member, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So.
Well, good. Also, I want to thank Devin because Devin was our puller together director person. So she's the one that really corralled everybody, and so y'all give her a big virtual shaky hand huggy thing.
That's clapping in sign language.
Yep.
Clapping in
jazz hands.
Give her jazz hands, everybody.
I was thinking Fosse when you did that. So
Fosse. Twyla. Sorry. Stop.
Thanks, Will.
I don't have anything to add.
That was great, Will.
If nobody has anything to add, we'll turn it over to Dr. Cook. And you guys did great. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much. Huge round of applause. We can't give you a standing ovation in Zoom, so I guess have to settle for the little reaction buttons, right? But thank you all so very much. And I hope that we can do, as long as we have to be socially distanced, that we can do more Zoom theater, right? I did want to let everybody know we do have our last scheduled teach-in event next week. It was a rescheduled talk by Dr. Christine Hahn. She's got, interestingly enough, kind of fits with this sort of. She's going to be talking about, it's actually a very personal story. It's her story of living in Eastern Germany and moving to America and being a woman in a male-dominated subject, chemistry. I didn't realize she's the chair of chemistry. So that is our next talk. That is coming up November 12th at 3 p.m. So, and don't forget to go vote tomorrow. That's the only other thing I'd like to say. So
great.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.
Get a recording of this? The recording of it?
Recording. So I will make sure that I will send Corey the link, and we'll discuss if you need to do anything for us to put it on YouTube. I know that I'm not sure what, especially since you wrote it, if there's any issues, but